Hello everyone, welcome back to the next video in SQL Server. Today we are going to learn about what is DDL triggers in SQL Server. So if you haven't watched the previous triggers in the SQL Server playlist, I recommend you to watch those triggers. And today we are going to see what is DDL triggers. So DDL is data definition language in SQL Server. So basically DDL triggers in SQL Server are special types of triggers that are fired in response to the database DDL operations such as create, alter, drop commands. So these database objects can be executed on the table views or stored procedures. So these triggers allows you to capture and respond to the changes to the database schema and providing control and auditing capabilities. So you can use the create, alter and drop commands for your tables, and you can perform data integrity operations, and you can allow the users to control over dropping the tables in your database, and perform some audit operations for the modification of your schema in the database. So let us see some live examples in SSMS. So here I have connected to my SSMS and currently I am under the sample1 database. So in this sample1 database, I just need to create a trigger that allows users to create tables only if the table name starts with TBL. So I need to restrict all other users creating tables in some other names. So we can use the create table trigger to enforce this. So let me create a trigger. You can use the create trigger command, and you need to provide the valid name for this trigger. Let me give us enforce naming for tables, and after that all the DDL and DML, all these DDL triggers, those are the create, alter and drop triggers, are only created on the database level. So you will provide the on database to all these triggers, and you need to specify for which operation you are going to create these triggers. So now I am going to create for the create table operation. So let me provide for creating table and as. So after begin comment, you need to provide the values for the trigger that are going to be executed when the trigger is fired. So let me provide a declare statement. Declare, let me declare a variable called table name, and provide it as varchar of 255, and let me set the value for this variable. Set the table name equal to select the event data. So this event data is a built-in function in SQL Server which gets you all the values of the event happens in your database. So in this value I need to get the object name, that is the table which is going to be created. So let me provide the event instance, slash, and I need to provide the object name. So this will check the value, and from this I need to select the first one, and I need to provide the data type varchar of 255. So after this we close this statement, and after this, so there is value is not a valid function, so let me provide value for this. So So let me provide this as value, and after this I need to check if the variable, that is the table name, not like starting with the tbl underscore. So I need to provide the wildcard for percentage. If it is not, then begin, and I need to print this as table must start with the tbl. I need to print this, and then I need to roll back the action, so I don't need to commit the changes. After this, let me provide the end command and end the trigger as well. So now let me execute this trigger. So now that trigger got created. Now let me quickly create a table without the prefix tbl. Let me tend to create a table named sample test, and let me provide simply a id column which is integer. Let me close this. When I try to create this table, now it shows the error like table must start with tbl, so it must start with the tbl prefix. So this transaction has been aborted. So if I try to create with the prefix tbl, then it allows me to create this table. So now I have created this sample test table. You can select this with the select statement, and you can see there is an id column. So you can allow users to create only the tables with the prefix tbl in such cases using this create table trigger. So if I don't need this trigger anymore, you can provide the drop command, and you need to provide, normally you will provide the drop command for all the database objects, which is a drop the object name and the exact name that has been provided. So if you need to drop a trigger which is a DDL trigger, you need to provide on database along with this to drop this trigger. So if you let me create this. If you try to drop this trigger without the on database command, it will not be dropped. So it is created on the database level, so you need to execute along with the database command. So now let's remove this. I have dropped the table. So you can see there are so many tables available inside my database. So I need to enforce dropping operations handling for the users. So when a user try to drop a table, I don't want to allow them to drop a table in my database. So I can create another trigger which can handle dropping the tables inside my database. So let me provide a create trigger command, and after this I need to provide a name, which is prevent drop table, and after this all the DDL triggers are created on the database level on database. For I need to provide the drop table command. So I need to perform when the table is dropped. So as begin, whenever the user try to drop a table, I need to print that dropping table is not allowed, and after I need to roll back the action, and once this has been completed, I need to end this trigger. So now let me create this trigger. So the trigger got created. Now let me try to delete one of the table from this list. So drop table, I need to drop this employees. Now when I execute this, you can see dropping table is not allowed. So this has been printed. So and the transaction has been aborted. So the table has not been dropped. Let me refresh this table folder. You can see the employee table is still available in the database, and you can avoid the users dropping your tables in the database by creating such triggers in your database. So just like in the previous trigger, if you need to drop this trigger, you just need to drop along with the database command. So now the trigger has been dropped. So now when I try to drop any of this table, let me drop this table sample test. Now I can able to drop any of the tables inside my sample1 database. So now let's remove this. So and we have seen the create table trigger and the drop table trigger. So the create table trigger can be triggered or fired when user creates a table inside the database. The drop table trigger will be fired when a user try to drops a table inside the database. So now we are going to write a trigger that can take an audit log for the alteration of schema in the database objects. So whenever a user modifies certain rows or columns in the table, then I need to update log inside the audit table. So now before creating the trigger, let me first quickly create a audit table. So let me create table, name it as DDL audit log. So inside this table I need columns like I need a audit log ID, which is an integer and identity of 1,1. So let us provide the identity for this and the primary key constraint. And I need a second column which is a event or the object name, which is a varchar of 255, and I need another event log which is event DDL and which is a varchar of 255, which is again varchar. And also I need a XML data of what event has been happened. So event XML. For this I'm going to specify the database XML. So finally I'm going to provide the event time. In this event time I'm going to specify the date time, and I just pass a default value as getDate. So this getDate built-in function will returns the current datetime object a database. That is any altering of the schemas happens inside my database, then I need to take a log of the value in an XML format. So now let me create a trigger, and the trigger name. So let me provide as audit table changes, and we need to create on the database and for the alter table. Whenever a table has been altered, then I need to take log as begin, and inside this begin I need to provide the statements. So let me declare a variable. We declare as event data, and this event data will be an XML data type, and then I need to set the value for the XML value event data variable. So let set event data variable equal to event data. So you have seen this event data built-in function which returns the event data value inside the database. So now let me insert into this audit log table the values which has been updated, that is the alter functionality that we have provided to change the schema of the database object. So let me insert into this DDL audit log table, and inside this I need to update the object name, which is the table name. So let me provide this object name first, and then I need to update the event type, which is the which type of DDL command has been happened, and finally the XML data of the object. And after this I'm going to provide the values for this. So in this values, let me provide the variable which contains the event data. So inside this variable I'm going to take the values of similar to the previous one. Let me provide the dynamic query to fetch the event data, which is the event instance of object name. Then I need to close this and provide the indexing and the data type, which is a varchar of 255. And after this let me close this and pass the next value, which is again the event data dot value of the same event instance. So let me provide the quotes. So instead of this object name I need to pass the event DDL, and after this let me provide the final variable which contains the XML information. And after this let me close this. So after closing this, let me end this trigger. I have created this alter table trigger. So now let me try to alter a table. Let's say for example let me take this employee table. Let me select this employee table first, and you can see there are employee ID, first name and last name. So I'm going to drop this last name column inside this employee table. So let me provide the alter script, alter table. Let me provide the table name. Let me provide this table name, and I'm going to drop the column, drop column last name. So let me execute this statement. So command got executed successfully. So now let me select this table. Now let me select and see this audit log. So I hope you have understood how we can use the DDL triggers in our create, alter and drop commands. Please subscribe to the channel and watch all the videos in the SQL Server playlist. Thank you.